That might be horrible for me to say.
Speaking of this schedule, the last time we met, was it all of us, or was it was you and I when we went through, started going through the whole thing, and we decided that the coffee shop scene would not be in the coffee shop, but would be in another section of the park.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final scene would be in the park.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking that for the coffee shop, we would have a park bench. Like 2 of those chairs. I went over and looked at them to remind me, yeah, those will work really well, and we could build the sofa bed to sort of in the same style maybe somehow, so it all kind of goes together. But I think it'll be great. And then I was thinking for the final scene, no bench at all. I kind of did a quick, very crude model in here that we should go look at to address some scene change issues. So we're looking at the apartment. We have a chair, another chair. Elise had a great idea. I forgot all about them, but when we did Vanities, we built all the furniture, and the chairs are really pretty solid, right?
Solid and simplistic.
Yeah, so I think they could slide to them together, and you could easily have a park bench, but they got a little back on them, so you could lean back a little bit. So we're going to use those. Just 2 of them is what we're talking about. This we need to build, and it's a sofa, but it has a pull-out piece that is slightly smaller. So when it's the sofa, it's like that. Maybe some kind of padding on it. Then when it becomes the bed in the apartment, pulls out, and maybe that padding folds over and becomes the fold-out bed.
I want to learn how to do scene design.
Apartment, hospital bed,
Right.
same thing, maybe a different sheet. What we ended up with in our planning was something like this that I might want to change a little bit. So the screens close in on either side, kind of confine it. That's the hospital. Next.
All right,
Back to the apartment.
Yes, back to the apartment, which is now cleaner. The first apartment was messy,
Right.
this was clean.
And I'm purposely staying away from props and set dressing right now.
Yeah.
Let's get the basics set, then we can talk about
I don't
how
wanna
much we
go
can
into-
pull off.
Yep. So then after the apartment clean, we go back to the police station for Callie talking to Detective Cole. So we're back in the little area.
We're back in the interrogation room.
So that's like 3 really easy set changes.
Yeah, yeah.
Alright,
Different time, so maybe there may be some slight differences, but maybe not. Maybe we would like it to be, but we just can't because we don't have
And
enough
most-
Denvers or anything.
I think most scenes in the apartment take place in the evening, just because that's when Callie's back from work and they're always planning to go out.
Right.
But I'll have to check, not all of them.
And some of them, do we even know?
Some of them you don't know, but because they're talking about going places, you would assume it's probably the
Right, okay.
But I mean, during the scene changes, like, it takes 2 people to close it up, do you think? Or is that after we build it, we're gonna find out?
We can try our best to make it 1 person, but I think in order to make it 1 person, then it may not be as stable as we would like. Yeah, we need to get the word out. So we need ASM and 5 other people backstage.
We need 2 costumers.
2 costumes on top of that.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna run like 8 people.
Yeah, the crew I'm thinking is going to be. I'm wondering if the actors would be able to help with changes if necessary, but I'd have to look at that and see how involved they are backstage in their own things. I'd really like to keep them concentrated on what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's one thing to go look as you exit, move this there, and then go on
But
out.
another
It's
to
another
have-
to go back there and help somebody
Yeah.
get out of the dress and into a skirt or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's,
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I'm thinking the crew is going to be at least as big, if not bigger, than the cast. Casting the characters, well, Kara was pre-cast in the role, and that made me happy because when I first read the play and I knew that she was also going to be working on Stop Kiss, I was thinking of what parts she would be good in, and I was like, she would be really good as Callie. And then she said she wanted Callie, so I went, that's great. So that made one bit of casting a bit easier. The rest of casting was not so fun. I don't like casting because you've got all these really good people, and then it's time to whittle it down, and how do you do that? So, so we had the auditions, and it was just harder because first we were in that library room and not on the stage, and it's so difficult to tell how people are gonna act on the big stage in comparison to that little tiny room. But it was easier to cast the guys, first off, because only 5 of them auditioned. I remember Frank, he did a very good job reading as both Peter and the detective, but because of his accent, I thought it would be better to cast him in the role of the detective. I didn't want everyone in the play who's from New York to have a New York accent because, ugh. But I did want kind of a variety of voices and accents. So, and also he has the kind of physicality I wanted for the detective, so he went there.
And I think also he's important because, well, for me, like, the way I would play him is, like, he represents someone who, to me, like, he doesn't really care about the situation. Like, he's indifferent. He's like a hard-working New York detective, you know, pulled himself up by his bootstraps, and the only reason he might be doing this is because it's his job, you know. He wants to get his job done. He's one of those people who, no matter what it is, it's his job. I think he's going to do it.
Because Daniel is Peter, he did a very nice job reading for that part. Also, it helps that that line, was he bigger than me? That Daniel is a very big person. He's very tall. So it made sense, because there are several other people who read very well for that. But because they're not taller than Kara, it kind of made it, it would have made it very humorous as opposed to kind of the seriousness of the scenes.
There's Peter, I guess, is the, not really the antagonist, but he's the only, along with the detective, he's one of the 2 people that show hatred towards, especially Callie, because he's taking Sarah away from him. And now he's not only just losing Sarah, he's losing her to a girl. So I consider Peter I guess Cole probably would be the bad guy because he's the mean guy, but I consider Peter the somewhat unlikable person.